All right, let's talk Alabama Crimson Tide. Look, week one, only a few short days away now. It's an exciting time of the year, and this is a program that's getting slept on a little bit. It's kind of strange to hear that coming out of Tuscaloosa. But we've got a few reports and a few things we want to talk about today about why we think Alabama is going to be a lot better than people think.
Yeah, Nick, Alabama may be slept on by the conventional media, but not us. We know how good they're going to be, and we're going to talk about just that today. But Alabama fans, how good do you think Alabama is going to be? Let us know in the comments below by giving us your official season predictions. We want to know what the win-loss for Alabama is going to be this season. Is it going to be truly a miraculous undefeated season where they go to the college football playoff with no problem whatsoever? Is there going to be a hitch in the wagon along the way? Let us know in the comments below what you think the final record for Alabama will be this season in the comment section below. But Nick, let's get on into it. How good is Alabama?
Yeah, so first and foremost, let's throw up the odds of what Alabama has to win the national championship right now. If you want to throw it up on the screen, Miles, we can kind of look at it. You can see Alabama is squarely in second with the odds makers, ahead of Ohio State, Michigan, and LSU, and a little bit behind Georgia right now. And that's basically all of the big sports books are kind of right around the same point for Alabama, plus 600. Georgia sits there right around plus 220. Now, here's the thing, and here's my understanding of the situation with Alabama, because right now I think it really comes down to Alabama and Georgia out of the SEC, and frankly, in my opinion, for the national title. Here's, I think, where Alabama is a whole lot better than people think, and Georgia isn't as good as people think. We talk about it all offseason with Georgia. They're in a transitionary period very similar to the early Saban championship years for Alabama. Those Alabama teams won a lot with their defense, dominating defense. But as the college football landscape shifted, Alabama shifted and relied a little bit more on offense because their defense, historically great at the time, regressed to the mean to just being good. Georgia is going through a very similar situation here. They've had so much talent leap to the next level. They have much less talent on defense this year than they have had in years past. They're relying on a new quarterback. A lot of question marks. And if you look at Georgia's defense, especially if you just look at last season, these are the during the regular season, these are the points they gave up each game. I'm going to go down the list here. First game, 3, then 0, then 7, 22, 22, 10, 0, 20, 13, 19, 6, 14. That's obviously spectacular stuff for the Georgia defense. Here's the thing, though. You can't possibly maintain that if you lose the level of talent Georgia has over the past couple of years. You're just going to not perform as well. You're going to regress to the mean. When that happens, you need to replace that with elite level offensive capability, which I don't think Georgia has the way Alabama had in the 2010s. Now you focus on Alabama. Alabama's been there before. Nick Saban has been there before. He understands how to, with a team transitioning like Georgia is into this era, how to beat them, how to overcome those challenges. And that's exactly what we see them doing. I love the fact he hasn't released a depth chart, for example. I love the addition of Tommy Rees. This is a defense that's bringing back a lot of talented players. I love Dallas Turner, by the way. I think he was probably the most underrated pass rusher in college football just because Will Anderson was opposite of him. I think he's going to have a spectacular year. I think he's going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. I love this running game of the Alabama Crimson Tide. I think their quarterback play, I think it's going to be Milroe. I think it's going to be a lot better than people think. This is, to me, this is one of those realities when I look at Alabama right now. This feels like a team. This feels like just more of a cohesive unit, right? As opposed to a superstar stacked team, the way other Alabama championship teams have been in the past. I know it's a little bit of gut and sort of raw analysis looking at Alabama right now, but I just get a feeling out of Tuscaloosa that this is a team. They remind me a lot. We saw the Swamp Kings documentary on Netflix, Miles, and I know I'm taking up a lot of time here, but that first Florida team with Chris Leak, how they just found a way to win games. I think this is what this Alabama team is going to remind me of. They've got a lot of star players, but they got a lot of gutsy guys, a lot of good situational talent. And I think they're going to find a lot of ways to win games behind Reese on the offense and Nick Saban, of course, running the show. But enough from me, Miles. Let me throw it over to you. What are your thoughts on Alabama and just everything with the Crimson Tide right now?
Yeah, Nick, you covered a lot, but the thing is, a lot of people don't know exactly what is going on in Alabama, and there's a lot of mystery coming into this season. There's a lot of mystique behind it, but I think they're going to come out, and that is exactly why I'm really liking them to come out firing for the national title this year. This is a team that people are going to underestimate because there aren't the names out there. You don't know who to game plan for. For God's sake, Saban didn't even release the depth chart like we said. We don't know who the starters are going to be. This team's going to come out and really surprise people those first couple of weeks. And if Alabama gets rolling early on, we are in for a show. There's tons of players, like you said, Milrose looking great at the quarterback. The freshman running back, Justice Haynes, I've been hearing a lot of really great stuff about him. throughout training camp. But this guy coming from Buford, where a lot of great players have been coming out of lately, he looks really, really good. So keep your eyes on that guy. But just overall, this team is going to come out and people are like, well, I don't know what they expect from it. There's not a whole lot of have been compared by some analysts, some coaches as a no-name team, a team that just really is shrouded in mystery. And you know the last no-name team that came out, Nick? I believe it was the no-name defense of the Dolphins. What did they do? They go undefeated and win a Super Bowl. So this could be a huge year for the Crimson Tide, just because they're coming in ultimate chip on their shoulder, being discounted, and people are kind of unexpecting Alabama. Not they're being disrespected. They're just not in the purview of a lot of teams. They're off to the side. They didn't make a whole lot of noise this offseason, and that's probably the best thing for them, to come out as a mystery and hit the ground running.
And just one more thing I want to highlight. Look, Alabama's got a brutal schedule. Everyone in the SEC does. And obviously, Alabama plays Texas, which is going to be a tough game. I think Texas is a pretty solid football team. That being said, if you looked at Alabama and said, what were the hardest games? You would say, okay, Tennessee, LSU, Texas, and probably Ole Miss. Ole Miss probably sneaks in the top 4. They get Texas at home. They get Ole Miss at home. They get Tennessee at home. They get LSU at home. As tough as their schedule is, they get the hardest games at home. They have to go to play A&M at A&M. That could potentially be tough. But even then, if you look at how hard the schedule is with all these ranked opponents, even if they have one slip up and they go into the SEC title game 11-1, you better believe they're still going to be a top flight contender going to the college football playoff. And I honestly think, I know people don't like to hear this coming out of Athens. I don't think Georgia is as good as people says they are. I think Tennessee, different quarterback. I don't think it's going to be the same as they were under Hendon Hooker. Texas, I'm still not a big believer in, so I think Alabama can win that game. Ole Miss always feels exciting. They're never really as good as we hope they are. LSU, I think, is going to be really good. I think they're the second best team in the SEC, honestly, in my opinion. Right now, I think that matchup between Kelly and Saban is going to decide everything for the SEC West. But this is a football team that's a lot better team-wise, right? They've got this whole is greater than the sum of the parts thing going on. People are kind of not focusing on that right now. I think they're going to make a big statement this season. I'm picking Alabama, not just to win the SEC. I think they win it all this year.